Hello and welcome to Talking Pictures, a podcast where we talk about movies, TV and a load of other good stuff we love talking about that's going on around the world and here in Ireland. I will be your host today. My name's Brian and I'm joined by my co-host and good friend David. David, what's the crack?
Not much, Brian. How are you today?
I nailed that introduction.
7 times the charm.
David, we're here to talk about we get every year, we look at the roster of what's coming out in terms of movies. Sometimes limited shows and TV shows, but 99% of the time movies. And what blockbuster IP is coming out this year? Be it a sequel, spin-off, reintroduction, doesn't matter. We look at what we had this year. We had a John Wick movie. We had a Creed movie. We had any and all DC and Marvel movie that's coming out. We don't have a Star Wars movie. We don't have an Avatar movie this year. You get the list and the gist of what I'm trying to say. So, what we do have this year is a Transformers movie, and we're here to talk about Rise of the Beast. This movie, which I'd like to just tell you, the audience, that we're going to talk about spoilers. But it's not the worst to know about spoilers, essentially. There's nothing really huge to spoil, really, except maybe one thing. But we can touch on that.
It's giant robots fighting each other. Like, it's, you're not really going in for the deepest of stories anyway. You kind of know what you're going in. It's kind of nearly in the same vein of the Fast and Furious movies, that you can just kind of turn your brain off and just enjoy. You're not looking for anything deeper other than spectacle.
Well, when it comes to Transformers, I want something a little bit deeper than Fast X.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah. But you are you're going in expecting big robots to fight each other and big explosions.
Well, that's
you set your expectations.
Well, that's what saved me for this movie. Let me get into it. So this is the 7th live-action Transformers movie, but it's canonically now the second to Bumblebee. Bumblebee released in 2018, and it was released a year after The Last Night.
I actually have the dates here. So the first Transformers was 2007. Then 2009 for the sequel, so 2 years between. Then 2011, so another 2 years. Then 2014, so 3 years. Then 2017, another 3 years. Then 2018, so 1 year in between. And it was a complete reboot of the series, it seemed.
Yeah.
And then this one, so 2018 to 2023, this is the longest gap we've ever had for a Transformers movie since the first Michael Bay movie came out.
On the second, how many years was that?
So 2007 to 2023. So 16 years in total from the first one in 2007 to now.
Oh yeah, but how many years is it from Bumblebee to the Rise of the Beast is what I meant.
Oh sorry, Bumblebee to now is 5 years.
Yeah.
So every other film has had the 2 to 3 year jump, but the jump between the last one and the reboot was 1 year, and now we've got 5 years in between, which is the longest we've ever had.
It's funny because they roll out Bumblebee the following year. It was a different director, a great director, Travis Knight, and he did a great job. He reinvigorated in us, the audience, the good feels of a young kid discovering a car. Car turns out to be a robot, and we get a bit of at least in the Bumblebee, we got a little bit of a fish out of water, a Lilo and Stitch, a Herbie fully loaded type of situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
when are we going to reveal that Herbie's a Transformer? That would be brilliant.
So that made us really fall in love with Bumblebee, so to speak. It's a great movie. Yeah. You got a bit of John Cena in there, and you got a bit of good storytelling. And it did something differently what the Michael Bay era was. I like the way you described it to me, and how you described what the Autobots and the Decepticons looked in live action in the Michael Bay movies compared to what they look in Bumblebee and essentially Rise of the Beast. How did you put it?
Just that it always felt like in the Michael Bay movies that everything was so realistic, but you knew it was very visually, like you knew who was an Autobot and who was a Decepticon based on if there is any bit of colour in them, they're a good guy, and if they're a bad guy, they're either black, silver or grey.
Yeah.
And you just kind of knew that. Whereas when Bumblebee came around, it really kind of, they embraced like, oh, well, these are based on toys. and they do kind of look like toys, even the Decepticons. So they took away that realism. It still looks realistic. It still looks like
they toyed them up, essentially.
They toyed them up, and they do look like toys. But you don't ever... It felt like in the Michael Bay ones, it felt like the animators had taken every single piece of a truck or a car and it's like, okay, how do we turn this into a robot? As opposed to now, when the Transformers transform, it's a car and it turns into a robot, and you don't think about it, and it just transforms, and it's not like this huge maneuvering. It's like you just hear the noise, and then
there's a few exterior figured shapes on the Autobot. There's the car doors. Oh yeah, there's the tires. Oh yeah, there's the bumper.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like there's a lot more thought put into Michael Bay movie Transformers. Whereas here, like you said, they're tied up a bit more.
Yeah.
They're a bit more softer in the round.
Softer, yeah. That's
they're not squares and corners. They're a little bit more circular.
Yeah, so it felt like with the Michael Bay ones, like if you went up and touched Optimus, you would cut yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it definitely does feel like.
Yeah.
It's just I like that it's softer. It's a bit more toy-like, and I think it works better because, like I was saying with the Little Mermaid a couple of weeks back, that like you can just have it be a little animated. It's fine. We know we're watching a movie. We know that Transformers aren't real, so have them be a little bit more animated and toy-like. And I know it's not really a robot, so it's fine to not look as if it's perfectly like an alien robot would be in the real world.
So they continued that in this one. They continued that, which is great. They're making it more of a sequel to Bumblebee, essentially. And when Bumblebee came out, you could still give it or take it whether or not it's a prequel to Michael Bay's or not.
It was a little bit
touch and go, hit or miss. Whether they still have the options in this movie to make it canon to Michael Bay movies or not. So they still have that freedom to choose to do that for the next one, because this movie ends in a way where you can still tie that string from where this, so to speak, trilogy, which is what they're planning, to tie to the events of the first Michael Bay movie. In my opinion, why do you want to tie this better adaptation to that doomed scrapyard? Like, not all the movies were bad, but most of them were bad.
It went that way, though.
So it's like, why would you want to tie yourself to that? Give yourself the freedom.
Yeah.
Just because you're a couple of decades behind before Michael Bay movies, don't link yourself to this, and then you're just gonna have this one continued franchise. I'm sorry, you're not Star Wars. You're not in a galaxy far, far away with spanning decades and millennia taking place. You're in a 40-year period, essentially. Don't tie yourselves down to that.
And it's okay to move on from it.
Yes.
Like, obviously, when the first Transformers came out, like, that story is that Bumblebee is already on Earth, and then the other Transformers come to Earth. So you could kind of, in a way, with Bumblebee, when that first came out, that could have just been a standalone prequel. But then
how he came to Earth.
Of how he came to Earth, and then it leads into the Michael Bay movies. But it seems now that they're not going that way, but they still are. They're kind of playing a little bit fast and loose, because the other Transformers come in and they're interacting, but their goal, I suppose, in the movie is to return to Cybertron.
Not to retrieve some MacGuffin yoki to keep from the Decepticons.
Well, they are in a way.
In a way,
they're both looking for that MacGuffin. But
how many MacGuffins had these Transformers?
I think every movie has to have a MacGuffin. But you can see that if they wanted to, they could veer off and do their own thing and tell their own story. But
they should.
They should. But they could easily also link into the Michael Bay movies. Don't forget, Michael Bay is still producing these. He's still a producer on these movies.
Yeah, Stephen Caple Jr., the director of this one, he did reach out to Michael Bay to ask him for advice. Fair enough, you're a working man in Hollywood, you're a director, of course, do that, absolutely. But don't make this canon. Just
don't pigeonhole yourself.
No.
You can move off. We can believe, like, we've had how many Spider-Man?
No. How many Batman have we had in the close proximity of the timeline or these? I'm sorry, Robert Pattinson, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, and we're about to get another one.
Yeah, so it's fine. You can just go off, move off.
Yeah, it's easy now today to put a barrier between the different portrayals of a character in the same IP franchise and still understand that this is that version in this universe and this is that version in that universe. Whether that universe is not continued anymore and this new one is just taken over, it's fine, it's okay. There's so many movies and IP and blockbuster movies these days that you can just separate them. You know, I'm easy to accept that Barry Keoghan's a Joker in the Robert Pattinson one, and we still have Joaquin Phoenix's Joker coming, and we only had Jared Leto reprise the role in Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, and so we're gonna have to get another Joker for this upcoming James Gunn. It's fine, okay, it's just go it. We're even able to accept back to the Spider-Man. These Spider-Man games that are just getting popularized. One thing I love about those Spider-Man games is how many villains they bring into them games. And we have Sony doing their own thing over in the animated form, let alone the live action movies that they have their deal with Marvel. So that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, but so we're happy for Transformers to just go off and do their own thing and trust that we know it's different. It doesn't all connect. It's fine.
So long as they're good movies.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this movie, David?
This one, I don't know about you, right? Before we get into this movie, what's Transformers to you? Because I think for a lot of people, Transformers is like a cartoon. It's the toys themselves. But for me, it actually is the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Came out in 2007, so we were both like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie in cinema. I think I saw it in Blanchardstown. I remember watching it. Whoa, these huge aliens. Shia LaBeouf is there. I couldn't get it out of my head. Shia LaBeouf looks exactly like my cousin. So I was like, I just had it in my head that this is my cousin in the movie. Then we finished up, we're leaving, and guess who was there? My cousin, I had thought was him. He was also seeing the movie there, and I remember that so clearly. I remember the first two movies were like, whoa, these are the first Bayhem movies, I suppose, that I saw that were just crazy.
We're too young to think any different. We didn't go to study film afterwards, but they're giant robots that transform into cars and they fight each other. It's cool, of course.
When you're 10 years old, that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see. And everyone wanted to be friends with Bumblebee. Do you know, he's the coolest. I don't know about you. Are you in a similar vein of...
Yeah, pretty much. I remember thinking this one moment in the trailer, Shia LaBeouf is talking to Optimus Prime from his bedroom window, and he's explaining to him in his own panicky way, my mom's gonna, if she sees you, she's gonna have a panic attack, she's gonna get stressed, she's gonna grab me from one. Something you kind of subconsciously think what Elliot was trying to communicate to E.T. and trying to hide him, and her be fully loaded, essentially, that whole element. I'm sorry I keep bringing that up, but it fits. It fits. Before I saw the movie, essentially, a squadron of soldiers, of robots. I thought it was essentially one robot, and I thought Optimus was more like Bumblebee. He was like a bit of aloof, maybe a rookie. He couldn't communicate English really, and he was like a fish out of water. So Bumblebee was kind of that anyway. But I thought that was Optimus. And I thought it was just Optimus and the bad guy robots. And I thought, well, yeah. And then I saw the movie and the rest is history. And I like the movies as they came out. The Transformers trailers are awesome. They're awesome. They just give you goosebumps. The action you want to see. Those one-shot takes of just following one character to the next character to the next character in their moment of time in the battlefield. Yeah, they're great. They're awesome. They're cool. And then they sort of got shit.
Well, that was what I was going to say about this one, is that you can, any kind of Transformers movie only has to be better than the worst one. Because they can be, like, the first one, I feel like, maybe it's my nostalgia talking, I really enjoyed the first one. I think that even though, like, we are complaints about how they look, that they're so metal and so realistic, I still enjoy it. Yeah. It's still good. It's still, goes back to when I was 10 and seeing it, and I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. It's just that part of me that's fine. But then there are other parts of it that are, like, some of the worst movie scenes I've ever seen, things that I'll never actually watch again. So it only has to beat those bad moments, and I think that this one does that very well.
It does very well. You know, I think the best Transformers movie is Bumblebee. Then I think maybe, I don't know if I put this one next or the first Michael Bay Transformers next. I don't know. but definitely it's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It's not a hard list to beat, and the shittiness of the previous Bay movies sort of set the bar quite low.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really have to reach that far.
Specifically, when we say that, we're talking about Age of Extinction and The Last Night.
And you know, I have to admit, even though I like a good portion of Revenge of the Fallen, I it's not that good of a movie. And then there's issues with Dark of the Moon, but you know that it gave you what he wanted: giant robots fighting and killing each other. But you know what? When I want something a bit more in a Transformers movie, I want the Autobots to be characters, and I want them to be a bit more humanized. I want to like them. I want to care for them. I want to be like, oh shit, they could die. And you know, one thing I'd like to say, being a sequel of Bumblebee, you know, the human characters in this movie, you know, the boy stumbles across a car and the character is out to be a robot, and now he's in for this great adventure. Bumblebee is not that car. It's a different Autobot we've never seen in live action, Mirage, voiced by Pete Davidson. It's funny how now this robot, who was discovered by the human character as a car and then transformed as a robot, he's this big talky great comedic timing given homie. You know, whereas Bumblebee, he's like a lost puppy.
Yeah, they're kind of on different ends.
He's like the Iron Giant, essentially.
Yeah. That's how I felt Bumblebee was.
Yeah.
Bumblebee, when I watched it this week leading up to it. That was the exact movie I drew comparisons to, was the Iron Giant.
Yeah.
Because I think it is, if you actually go back and watch it, it is kind of the Iron Giant, because he loses his memory and he gets it back. And
and I like that. No, Bumblebee, his human character in this canon is Hailee Steinfeld from Bumblebee. And I like that that's keeping to. If we ever see her again, Bumblebee's gonna go run and hug her in her arms. He's gonna crush her spine.
Because they reference her as well, because Optimus in this movie is...
Which I like what they do with him in this movie.
Yeah, that he's not as open to humans as he was in the original.
Remember, he's like, we don't harm humans, essentially. Like, not that he goes harming people in this movie, but he's quite arrogant.
Yeah, like he says like, oh, I can't believe you brought a human.
Yeah.
You know, he really is like,
doesn't
want to work with them. Yeah.
Not trusting of him at all.
And then they have that little moment where I think so Anthony Ramos' character is doing a heist for them, and Optimus and Bumblebee are hanging back as it's happening, and he's like, this isn't a good idea. And then Bumblebee, you know, says something through the radio, I can't remember exactly, and he goes,
they're not all bad.
They're not all bad. I know. Yeah. They're not all bad.
And it says, I know one of them was good to you, B, but not
exactly. And he's just referencing Bumblebee with the Hailee Steinfeld, which was nice that it's okay. We're drawing a line from Bumblebee to this movie.
Yeah. And it's kind of strange. Like, I don't know, how are people who didn't watch Bumblebee are going to look at this? This yellow Transformer, there's something to him. I don't know why. So I don't know, when let's just say it, the villain robot, he's not a Decepticon. He's
Scourge. He's a Terrorcon.
Terrorcon. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
We haven't described any of the plot, but
I don't really.
You've seen it. Yeah, we're talking spoilers. You know what it is. Unicron sends Scourge and the Terrorcons to come down, and then boom,
find a MacGuffin, and
so he can eat the planet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he kills Bumblebee.
Yeah.
And he killed them in a way that he's gonna come back to life.
Yeah.
But the fact that Bumblebee is quote unquote killed, you know, he wasn't a robot that was discovered, but you know, there is something specialness to him there. And I'm just thinking about, what about people who didn't see Bumblebee, who don't know about that? Yeah, you might think Bumblebee's that Bumblebee is a famous Transformer, Bumblebee and Optimus, of course, but they killed Bumblebee. What a way to go. And I don't want Bumblebee to die, because Bumblebee is my favourite.
Yeah, and it's done in such a way that you know fully well that he's not dead, because of the fact that there's no
his body
ceremony, or there's no, you know, swelling music of sadness.
They didn't draw it out. His body is still intact. He's pretty much just electrocuted and fried.
And even at that, like they stab him and then they get away or whatever. The Terrorcons leave, and they're all talking while Bumblebee's dead body is like lying there, but no one's sad. Do you know? It's kind of both us as an audience and the characters know, like, oh, we can bring him back.
Yeah,
and so I was under no illusion that he was gone.
Yeah,
ever.
And I knew from the trailers. I saw him do the Halo jump from that Transformer plane, like, which is Jesus, the size of that guy. You know, the only thing I didn't like about that guy is his Scottish accent. I just thought it was too much.
He only spoke like maybe 2 lines.
He
as well,
spoke once.
Yeah,
he spoke once. He even had a mustache, so you know, tied up essentially. But so yeah.
But it was good that Bumblebee took a step back, and we got to.
I didn't mind that. It made I think it just added a bit of something of the fact that Bumblebee was killed. He's out of commission, and it allowed time for some other. When I say other, I pretty much mean only one new one in terms of Autobots, because as much as I love seeing the reintroduction or newly introduction of Autobot characters or robot characters. Sorry, that Mexican or Spanish or Latin Latino one, I thought that was great, but he only had like 1 or 2 lines that you might have paid attention to. Even the little exchange, like, oh yeah, because you know our human character, he was like, oh, you got a Spanish accent. He's like, what's an accent? You know, and he doesn't acknowledge that. It's like, oh yeah, I just, you know, you have that accent, you know, I just thought maybe you knew a bit of Spanish. Like, oh, that's a bit racist, dude. That's like, how is it racist? You're a robot. So, and you know, he was Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso, and even the first line he says, sorry I'm late, I was paying attention to this beautiful butterfly, and like, just shut up. I don't care, I don't care. And RC, oh cool, female Transformer. I that's great. You know, let me care for these characters. Give me some cool, you know, momentum with these characters. She had maybe 1 or 2 things that I liked, and I liked her character, but really, them two didn't really have much of a spotlight at all, aside from maybe selling toys. Really, the main, aside from Bumblebee and his presence and lack thereof in this movie, the main Autobots or Autobots now, Optimus and Mirage.
Yeah, well, that's I think always the way with these Transformers movies, is that realistically, it's Optimus and Bumblebee that'll make it from movie to movie. Because the extended roster of Autobots changes every movie. It doesn't feel like there's ever an Autobot that moves from one movie to the next.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you for... It's hard to get attached to other characters.
They put more focus on the other Transformers who essentially are introduced in a sequel that play a prominent role. So like Sentinel from Dark of the Moon. Or let me think, gosh darn Dan, I don't know, but like essentially the Maximals, the giant ape, and the eagle most especially, who have the bulk of the lines. The Cheetor has like 2 lines that you can't make out really, and the Rhino didn't even talk. No. So, but essentially these are the animal Transformers. They're called the Maximals, and
so you'll be looking out in the future movies to see, do those 2 Autobots, the female one, I can't think of her name, RC, and then the other one there played by Danny Rojas,
Wheeljack was
Wheeljack. Will they make an appearance again, or will they just be substituted out for other robots? That's where I think
if they do that, I'm gonna hate it. Yeah. I don't want them to do that. That's what they did in Michael Bay movies. Even when they did do it, they were still there, but they just didn't have much room. It's like, just don't do that. Don't just now randomly throw in a new Autobot without giving them an explanation as to how or why they are there. Not just to just randomly came to the planet. Make it a bit of a reason as to why the Maximals were there. You know, the ape and the monkey and the gorilla. You know, Optimus Primal.
That is, I have to say, when that came on, when that happened on screen in the first scene where the one gorilla says like, "Oh, you're the leader now, Optimus Primal," and I actually like nearly laughed out loud. I was like, that is the stupidest name I've ever heard. I cannot believe that in this universe there's 2 characters that are the leaders of robot
factions,
and one of them's named Optimus Prime and the other one is named Optimus Primal. I could not believe that. I was like, that is so stupid. And then later on in the movie, he said, "Oh, my name's Optimus Primal. I'm named after you." And I went, "Oh, that's actually okay. That's fine then." I just thought that was so stupid, having no context for it. But then once they explained, like, "Oh no, he's named after him," I was like, "Okay, that's fine then." It's still a stupid name. It is a stupid name, but at least they gave context for it, that he's, named after him.
Yeah. So, as I said, the front runners of the Autobots were Optimus Prime, who's an arrogant.
Not trust. I wouldn't say arrogant, but I'd say non-trusting. Do you think arrogant?
I would think he'd be arrogant, yeah. Especially when he was just after B was killed. He's purposely trying to kill this scourge, the Terracon. Like he didn't know him before. The day they crossed paths and battled, and now all of a sudden, when this is over, I will end you. You know, and all right, these guys just met so recently. Now they hate each other. Okay, cool. I suppose Optimus has to kill every main villain like he did in the Bay movies. He literally killed every main villain.
He is the main Autobot.
Yeah,
he is. He's the leader, so he has to be
Optimus kills everyone. You know. I even remember thinking, "Jeez, look at the size of that Decepticon compared to Optimus Prime."
Doesn't matter.
You can still kill him. Anyway, yeah, it's like Mirage was the Bumblebee-esque character for this one, and it's a good. It's fine. Let someone else. You said it. Bumblebee is not the only transformer vehicle to be discovered by a human, and that human can hang with them, and he's full on like, we're bros, you're my homie, and he's a talkative guy. He's like pretty much the opposite end of Bumblebee. He talks non-stop, all those references. No one ever treated E.T. like this, and work colleagues, you were inside me. He had a good funny lines, and honestly there were a few scenes where it was like, oh, I'm sick of these expedition dumps and talking about this MacGuffin, and I'm coming with you. This human in the alien robot species you just discovered the earlier in the day, and you're not having an existential crisis. And I'm just like I even this is most movies, especially now these days. Like I'm just done with the generic tropeness, and not all the time, but a good portion of the time these days.
I know what you
Unless
mean,
there's something to it to grab me, whether it's the ragtag ensemble, which this movie kind of has, but not elevated to, let's say, Guardians is.
Yeah.
But like there is a darkness coming, and
this is the most awful battle you'll ever have to face.
Back off.
Yeah.
I just honestly. The fact that Mirage has this next scene after that, it's like, thank God, because like that's what saves me to keep me engaged in watching this movie. I just don't want to be sick of movies anymore, or the big blockbuster movie.
Tired of it.
Yeah. I want to just give me the fun action battle scenes, and that'll be it. And I said this to you myself. Mirage, he's a scene stealer, and he's taking the forefront, and he's in all the promotion. He seems like I bet they're gonna kill him at the end, and
to have some emotional stakes.
Yeah. And the proper 99.9% do that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So especially when he said he's promised Noah's little brother, I promise I'll watch your boys back. And keep my promise. Get shot to shit. And I thought maybe it sort of let they faked at him essentially, but he actually wasn't dead. But he said, "I'm gonna need you to take the wheel." And I thought maybe they were gonna commit to a change for this character.
Yeah.
And so he pretty much transformed into a Power Ranger Iron Man suit for Noah.
I thought that they would commit to that, and it would be essentially that. I think you said it actually as well, that you were expecting a kind of facial he has the power armor, and then he's
wearing an Iron Man suit that Mirage turns into an Iron Man suit, so to speak, and he when Noah is wearing the suit, he's got a shield, like the see-through glass mirror shield, and I thought Mirage a display, a digital display
Of
of
his face,
Mirage
yeah.
would appear.
And we'd get kind of a Tony Stark Jarvis.
Yeah, and I thought that would be okay. What a way for a character to essentially feel a loss, but still be there in a way.
Yeah.
But no, he doesn't speak to him in the suit.
He's not there at all.
No. And even that bit where he's like at the end after the battle and the day is won, yay, bad guys are dead. It's like, oh, I guess he's just a suit now. He's just like
He's just for Noah to wear.
Yeah. But no, in the post credit scene he like fixes him up in a bit of a junkyard car and he can sort of transform. I thought I thought it would have been more fun if he could have been just a walking suit and he could like still be Pete Davidson essentially, just more human height and or whatever. I don't know. That could have been better than no real stakes really.
Yeah, they took the consequences away of his sacrifice.
They took the sacrifice away. And really, like, you know, Bumblebee does come back to life, and you know, like, yeah, good. I don't want Bumblebee to die, you know, and no one does. And he comes back to life. And, you know, the Eagle, she dies. Great. Could have maybe shown the gorilla smash her chest essentially instead of just, you know, chokeholding the fucking robot. You know,
because she's taken over by the villain, and
she's
forced to kill her.
Yeah, she's mind possessed. She's deteriorating. She says it's okay, do it, but you know, I'm sorry. Did you just keep holding on to her, give her a hug until you know, shh, go to sleep.
Yeah,
I was expecting a bit of an explosion to happen there, to crush her body essentially. Do what an actual gorilla do if they had their arms around you. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, the fight scene was good, and you know, there wasn't really too many like standout villains that would, you know, be toys, and yeah, the villains were defeated. Optimus kills the bad guy. Bit of a good fight, you know, and then Optimus, I'm gonna in fact sacrifice myself, and not that I thought he's gonna get out of that. It was more like because I didn't know which direction this movie's gonna go. Because if they're gonna go with the tie into Michael Bay movies, well, of course he's not gonna die, but because you just don't know for sure, and you know, Peter Cullen's getting quite old, so you just don't know if he's just going to retire the character. But Noah comes back to save him, and like, Jesus Christ, he's still slipping off that axe. He's going to you know, get sucked up into Unicron, and no, the gorilla comes, saves him. Yay, everyone's happy, lovely.
See, the final battle with Scourge,
the main villain, voiced by Peter Dinklage, which is great.
I didn't like that. Because only for the fact that throughout the movie, Scourge is like, he never like sustains a scratch.
No,
like he's really,
because of the powers he's been imbued.
Yeah, the powers he's imbued by the darkness or whatever. Yeah, he's just like
darkness.
for some reason he's more powerful than everyone else.
He is immortal.
But then in the final battle, he's not. And there's no explanation given as to why now all of a sudden Optimus can defeat him. And now obviously Noah's there to fight as well, but I can't fully like, you know, understand why now that he's there and Optimus are fighting them, they're just not on the same level of, you know, being able to fight. Now if the gorilla Optimus Primal had come in and the two of them had worked together, and it was, you know, if the two powerhouses of both factions work together to
that would have been better.
Even if there had been a little bit of friction, I suppose, between Optimus and the Maximals, the same way there was between him and the humans, because that was the thing, is that they
I was actually expecting a bit of friction, because the Maximals were already in agreement that the humans who are aware of their existence in Peru, they're their allies. They see them as allies, and they're fully like, you humans, take the MacGuffin and go hide while we hold them off. They're like, Optimus wouldn't do that.
No, not in this movie, definitely not.
No.
And in a way, Optimus is right, because of the fact that Noah, he has in his head like, okay, I need to protect this world. I don't care about their world. I just need to protect our world.
Yeah,
and
so
he tries to destroy the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
And
I like that Optimus comes out there and is like, please, there's a way to do it. I thought it would have been more interesting, if you destroy that, I will kill you.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been more, oh, raising the stakes here.
Because they are at odds there.
Yeah.
But
instead of Optimus pleads with it, it's like, okay, he touches.
Maybe he learns that lesson from Optimus Primal. But I would have also liked to see I
just would have loved to have seen maybe a more committed Optimus Prime in being more like, I will get my people back home at whatever cost.
Yeah, because the Maximals have that a little bit. They're like, oh, we can't let them get this MacGuffin, whatever the cost.
Yeah.
So much so that the eagle dies. She says it.
Yeah.
So
seems like we're delving into a bit more possibility that this movie could have done, except they just sort of...
They held back a little bit.
Yeah, they held back into the generic tropeness of it all.
But I would have liked to see that final battle of Optimus and Optimus, both Optimuses fighting Scourge and coming together to defeat him.
Yeah. I think it would have been great to see that gorilla pretty much jump on his chest and proper rip his head off.
Yeah, and then it would have been, like we were saying there.
There's a bit of tension between them two as well, because he killed his father at the start, essentially.
Yeah, that makes more sense to have him, especially because Bumblebee comes back.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's Optimus's motivation to kill him. Yeah. Obviously, it's a motivation not to let Unicron there, but his personal vendetta, that's squashed because the fact that Bumblebee is alive. But Optimus Primal has that there because he killed his father. So it would have been nice to see, like you're saying there, Optimus kills the bad guy. It would have been nice to see Optimus Primal, the gorilla, kill the bad guy. Yeah. Have someone else do it for change. Because there is that one moment in it where I think he kills like one of the other Terracons, the orange one. I don't know his name.
Oh,
and he says, "Oh, he was mine."
Yeah.
So
I just wanted that for the main one.
Yes, exactly, and that would have been nice to see, like, someone else do it.
Yeah, Bumblebee killed the other one, so
yeah.
So yeah, I think we're just over analyzing and giving this too much of an in-depth analysis that the movie really deserves.
Well, yeah, like I enjoyed it. I know you didn't enjoy it as much. I enjoyed it.
Well, no. Yeah, I did enjoy it. It's just that trailer. Them Transformers trailers really do get you going. And I think it's like, just, it's fine. And look, here's the thing, right? They also fake kill Mirage, but then he's not dead, as we said. Well, in the moments where you're led to believe he is dead, and it's a really heart-touching moment, and it's a big motivational speech, like, get up, you gotta keep going. In those moments, I was thinking, they did exactly what I thought they were gonna do. And, it doesn't really make a difference. And then as he's revealed he's alive, oh cool, I didn't care. So
you wanted the big emotional,
taking
a character you really like away from you, to have that emotional. But when it happened, I didn't feel like I thought I would. Yeah. So it has no effect.
Maybe because throughout the whole movie I've been sort of feeling like 2 or 3 times like just stop talking in a circle about what you're gonna do if you just don't stop the bad guys, and it's too late, it's already begun. It's like, yo, everyone, hurdle up. This is the human. Yeah. This is the human telling all these gigantic alien robots to say, yo, because he was in the army. He was never specified as a leader. I'm telling them, like, yo, full up, drop in, let's go. And like,
instead of
and everyone's talking about, I don't know, we could die. Well, then we will die a glorious battle, or we will give them we will die fighting. Like, just go. Stop talking.
Yeah.
Go.
Why do you need to inspire everyone to fight when the alternative is, okay, we don't fight, and then this guy comes and eats the planet and we're all dead anyway?
Yeah.
So instead of the the classic, like, show don't tell, this movie tends to tell and then show. Yeah. So you're getting it twice. You're like,
I think I'm just tired of it. All I wanted was just give us some fighting. Give us some boom, 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 yeah. And essentially, with all this, action and boom, boom and fighting going on, with no dramatic stakes at the end of it, it's just a lot of visual noise, and, well, I suppose we'll just have to, wait for other, better thought-out movies for that. I suppose we have to consider this is pretty much appeasing to kids.
That's the thing I was gonna say is
this is a kids action movie.
We were sat there and there was a kid behind me. I don't know if you heard him, but he was loving it.
Yeah,
he was. He was. Yeah. Oh no, Bumblebee, and he was just enjoying it. And I'm like, we were that kid in 2007.
I didn't think like that when I was watching these Transformers movies back when Michael Bay was doing them. Yeah, I wasn't thinking. I was laughing at those twin Autobots like, "Bit ding-a-ling, get your ice cream. Any Autobot, Decepticon out there want to really get an ice cream? You get your ass whooping." It was like, it was funny, haha, laugh at all that. I think in discussing this, I might not have liked it as much as I wanted to, or maybe not as much as you did, but I acknowledge, I think or at least I'm going into it, over-analysing it, picking away at what I should have done, and why I should have been better, and you need to be better, you need to be elevated, you need...
Yeah. When it's not that franchise, yeah.
No, it's not. Just... I think, I'll just take it as it is.
And I will admit that I went into it with low expectations.
Fair enough.
I went in, like, having seen the trailer, and I was like, alright, yeah, it's Transformers with me, I'll probably see it. Yeah. And then we were like, we do an episode on it, so I was like, yeah, Grant, we'll see it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't one that I was, on my watch list of most anticipated movies to come out. So my expectations were tempered, and it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It made me want to go back and watch the first one again, to be honest.
Fair enough. It's a win. Like, it's a win. That's it. Yeah. And I you know what? I feel optimistic. that they should get a sequel, and I hope this movie does well.
Well, I'm optimistic primal that you're optimistic.
Oh, I get it. There's one more thing I think we should touch on.
Oh God, yeah, you run away with this.
Oh, will I?
you work away, pal.
So,
it's not even a post-credit scene.
No,
it's the last scene.
No, it's the last scene, really. So, we were hearing that there's a bit of an ending to this movie that got people's, dicks going, and, so to speak. So, Noah, he's trying to get a job to get out of poverty, and, he goes for this job interview. He's sitting down, he's nervous, he's in the suit, he's in this corner office, conference room. And they're in a bit of a build-up to, like, yeah, he's ready to see you now. This guy in the corner, white suit, white shirt, making himself a tea, and like, you can't see his face, and like, oh, I know that actor, he's in this TV show, and he's from that TV show, and you just see his that face, You put it as he has those more military
government, CIA
looks.
Look, he's like, when he walks in the room that he's in charge of the room.
He works closely to the boss, essentially.
Yeah.
So, this guy reveals to him, as it was revealed in the trailer, that thank God we didn't watch, because, well, that's at the end of the movie. So, he's talking to Noah, the main guy, and, how's your job in Peru? And, it pretty much reveals, we know you were working with these, the big guys. The Autobots, the Transformers. Gives him his card. He's like, yeah, well, we'd love to have you. And, I'm thinking, who the hell is this guy? Why is everyone, having a crack out of this? And, he pushes the picture in the wall, and the room moves back like Austin Powers or Men in Black. And it's a big, massive warehouse of, like, jets and an airliner, essentially.
And it's still not obvious. You still don't know what. It's like, who is this guy? What is it?
Yeah, so he looks at the card and sees a logo. I don't know what I personally couldn't look at the logo, right? Flips the card, G.I. Joe. And as soon as that, me and you in the cinema, I knew it! Yeah.
You had went into it expecting it.
I kind of did expect it, but I didn't give it much thought, so to speak. And you know what? After that dreadful mistake of a Snake Eyes movie, it doesn't bother me that they're going to give it another go. Yeah, Hasbro wants to do their franchise, and if this movie does well, great. Well, what's the next? Maybe have a few G.I. Joe characters in the sequel, or give G.I. Joe a bit of a break. I think this is the next logical step Hasbro has to do to introduce G.I. Joe as a canonical franchise, because their previous one with Channing Tatum, cut. Try it again with Snake Eyes. That was a shamrock of a mistake. So let's of course we're doing the Transformers, so let's maybe tease G.I. Joe. And hey, throw Power Rangers in there while you're at it, if that fits.
I don't think so. I don't think that's a Hasbro.
Is it?
But like G.I. Joe, for me anyway, I don't had no connection to G.I. Joe. I never had I had an Action Man which is like, you know, it was our version of G.I. Joe.
Remember Action Man?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they do an Action Man? That would be interesting.
But they're not, like, G.I. Joe, I've got no attachment to G.I. Joe.
No, neither do I. I really don't care. I just thought it was, yeah, go for it. Mm-hmm. Why not? It's the next best movie you have mm-hmm. that you could make.
Yeah, I suppose
they're not doing what Hellboy is doing, essentially, by doing a new reboot of mm-hmm. Hellboy. The only difference being this Hellboy is much more low budget and it's more of a dark folktale mm-hmm. as opposed to a blockbuster action franchise.
I guess it's the next, like you said, it's the next logical step. I don't know if it's a logical step, but it's the next step. If in the current state of the world where everything needs to be a franchise and everything needs to be connected,
of course,
then it is the next logical step. Yeah. I don't think it's a necessary step, but it's the next step. Yeah.
Sure, listen.
It might amount to nothing. It might just be a background thing in the next movie that he's working for the Joes, but we'll see.
It's good that, you know, Paramount and all that, the Transformers IP, nabbed these two actors. Anthony Ramos, who maybe everyone will know from Hamilton and In the Heights. Mm-hmm. He's not been picked up for a franchise yet. And the female lead, what was her name? Dominic Fishback.
Mm-hmm.
She
was in The Hate You Give.
And yeah, well, she wasn't a big role in that, but she was in... I thought she was one of the... it's Project Power I'm thinking of. Yeah, I knew her from that movie, and I thought I was confusing her with the girl in The Old Guard, but that's a different actress who's sort of been snagged up for that big IP. So, yeah, it's good. These people haven't been franchised yet. Let's nab them for this, so, you know, people can look at them and associate them to that franchise. Essentially how, you know, to go way back to the origins, look at Mark Hamill, associate him to Star Wars,
mm-hmm.
Carrie Fisher to Star Wars. Harrison Ford broke that chain by doing, Indiana Jones and from Han Solo and so on and so forth. So that's the way it goes these days, you know. So yeah, any other thoughts?
Nothing that jumps to mind. The only one really that we didn't touch on was just a nice little touch. I thought in the characterization of Mirage was the fact that Noah and his brother call themselves Sonic and Tails over the radio.
Yeah.
And then Mirage promises Tails that he's going to look after him. So he ends up giving him the radio so that they can talk. And then there's just a little moment where after Mirage dies and you can hear the radio and he's like, Knuckles, are you there? Just that nice little like, oh, he's included in their trio.
I forgot about that. That was nice.
Yeah. That it was that Mirage really likes Noah and he is, you know, talking to his brother as well. It's like,
yeah,
you know, there is a bit of a connection here between the three. And I just like that. I thought that was a nice touch. That's the only other thing that we didn't touch on that I wanted to say.
There's one thing I'd like to touch on. When was the last time we watched a movie that was a big blockbuster global franchise, you know, like this, so to speak, that made you look at the location to visit and think, I want to go there?
Yeah, Peru definitely looked. I was like, oh, it looked so good that I was like, oh, are they on a set or are they actually in Peru? But no, they were actually in Peru
and they were in Machu Picchu.
Yeah, it looked fantastic.
That's one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to one of my friends that I want to go there, and well, god damn, I'm gonna go there at one point, and it's just great.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, why don't you, instead of going to Paris or China or staying in the States or just going across to your English folk in England, how about go to the countries that are very rarely ever visited, like Peru?
Mm-hmm. They did it with Egypt in 2. In Revenge of the Fallen.
Fair enough, yeah, but you know, a lot of movies do take place in Egypt if you think about it. Like,
but not often in Machu Picchu, definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not. So, you know, come to Ireland for once. You know, God forbid Fast and Furious comes to Ireland before.
Don't put that evil on me. Do not put that out into the world.
I did hear at one point that the director of Fast X would like to visit Ireland to shoot.
Okay.
No, give Ireland some love, but it'd be cool to have some, you know, giant robots there.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Giant's Causeway.
That's the name of one of our locations in our sightseeing tours routes. David, that's all I have to say for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to give us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. It costs nothing. It helps the show. If you want to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, we're Talking Pictures Pod. All the links are in the description. Send us an email at talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com. Send in questions, recommendations, anything. We loved hearing from our dedicated fans. So let us know.
Yeah, thanks, David, for saying that. Took the bulk off it. David, I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, David.